Mm, there you go.
Okay.
Now,
Okay. So we'll begin with Mystical Life 4. And as it says at the top, the variation of the theme of self-realization have been made known to me by Mayor Baba through direct communication and intuition in July 1940. So this is Mystical Life number 4.
It's this same one.
Yeah. Mayor Baba has made known to me in intuition the following statement: religion has to go, God has to come. Faith has to real and true arise in the heart of men. Let the heart come and the head go. Let all be one in feeling. Give life to others in creating light spirit, good winning will in bringing hope, hope of truth, which is real existence of real life. This is pure aim, to realize in the self as the human creature, good, the God. God has to come. The mind has to accept his presence in the heart. Man has to know the deep meaning of life, crude, harsh, as the show in controversy. All is to be realized. Man has to realize now what he has lost in pain, in strife. Love will resurrect man's new living resources. The life of man in this day's ordeal is devoid of God. Life is annihilating in full its own life, unconscious of the inherent divine treasure. God is dormant in the heart of men. God is forlorn in the mental struggle for power to obtain from life in mental strife the passing values. God's love is more than ever awake. It is the struggle. Love is more than ever knowing in the conscience in men. It is life of pain, that in pain is expiating the long way to love as painless joy. The long way to love is pain. The right way to pain is to serve the dual head. Good is real and unselfish realizing reaction in all as it is. Good is God. God is the dual self and the dual I in expiation to real and true, real and pure, real and in selfless joy, realize in self, in mind, in pain, the divine existence.
I hear say, live, and give in pain in me. Rest in me. I win in you in pain, me. The sure good school of I as the self-realizing act of mind in strife is to find in I, me. Life is the school of life in suffering to realize in I, in head, in I, in heart, the I as one, as two, as all, as true, real I, being in I, good, to make in real I, good, be the resurrection of I, which is mere phase of bad. Passing in I is all. All is a dream. Life is an ordinary dream. Good is pure existence. God is all as it is. Love shall bring in your own self, peace, peace that passeth understanding, is love in the realm of mind in self as the pure I. The real I in men is good. The pure self in men is right. Good is to experience God. God is to experience real and true, the life of mind realized in self as truth order in conscience. Let the mind be right in thought. It is to find in mind the real order. The divine I is order. It is order to self-realize in I, truth. What is good in mind is right in heart. What is right in head is right in both the head and the realizing conscious I as self that is indivisible order in being as the real conscience. The real conscience is the new I as self in mind as pure seeing and knowing what is good. I here ask all in the realm of good in conscience to see, to know, to real and true, real and unselfish act in me for use of good. To act in me is to real and true see, know me, and serve me for use of me. The good in pure realized order of mind in selfless existence. See me realize in the head in men the selfish order to see, to know in head the use of self, selfish. I do it. I bring in the controversy in ideas to make in mind the clear experience of truth, to make in mind in men the clear, indivisible existence, be one as life of mind in selfless real aim. I, as dual conscience, make the pain. See in the use of me here the good old show of I. Bring in new ideas, the new dispute in ideas. See life bring out new views and ways, and in this, see me give new ways and new forms in winning, realizing reactions to overtouch the old order in conscience. All I do is for the good. All I do is for me as the good, as God in form of man who is unselfish in doing good. I am the new life, the way, the truth. Men say, I, but think of God as them being the I. See, live, realize. See, love. God is to be order and use. It is to God as the conscience. God as the conscience is to be strong in use as order. How do we seal the real I be the true conscience? By being an I, one in order and conscience.
You as human self have to self-realize in you the new view of I in self-expiation, that in I, in one as you, the realizing good self in I, is I, me, the true real man, the one, the I, the God. Give me joy in the new form as self by realizing in winning ardor of truth, by acting in you in real oneness design of life, of love. Love me, and in love in me, see me as you. See God, and in God, see me. In seeing in I as you, one all I as life one, see me live in use in all. Life is to be lived and given for good, for real use, free of bargain, free of life in opposing hatred, free of the rejoicing reactions in self-satisfaction. Pain in joy of life in pain is the self in self-realized order, in real self as pure conscience. See this. Live in this thought of mind, O men, in pain in creation. See me realize new in every hard, harsh, unconscious self, the true right, just order to self-annihilate the impure driving urge to see the I bring the fruit of pain. See it bring in pain, the good, the real self. What is life in pain? It is joy in pain. What is God in use in pain? It is mind in use in pain to serve the good in pain. All is furious riot in mind in men when I am the descending God as man. Men reacting to I in selfish order in conscience is doing its own expiation in self-delusion, in suffering. Men of the new humanity, you shall know me in life as God. I have to see in life in pain the new wonder in pain. The wonder is to accept in pain God's order to see in pain him be the real good.
When I shall bring in mind in men, the new wonder of mind in self, in realizing order in mind, as new understanding, I have done the new way. I do life real in mind in men, in giving in mind in men. The new real self order to show in I, the real show of life, liberating in I, its one all I as good order in conscious real feeling of good. See this, O men, when I have arisen in you in conscience, you shall know me as I am.
We decided to read this as well because it was on the page, a poem by Elizabeth Patterson called Inspirational Fragment. Longing for infinite spaces, my soul finds no rest. When the tide of life has arisen, it retreats again to the endless sea. A wave is but the momentary contour of form against the sky, the moving rhythm of life's whole, to be merged again in the fathomless deep. Lonely wave reaching for heights, when the great sea is the measure of its strength. Be still, my soul, and know your own depths.
You want any comment?
Okay,
I was trying to figure out for a while there order. Wondering what the order is and if there's a sequence to the order. And I kind of figured, in basically Bob is trying to get humanity in order, Norina in order, and him in order as well.
When you think of the source of this, it's God's order, God's divine order is perfect. So the order, no matter how we perceive it, that's what we're surrendering to. Is his divine plan, which is, it's expressed in different ways in this language, but one of them is, well, just the one here in this good and bad, the true real order in the sense. The sense of things is far deeper than the intellect can understand. So we're not going to understand. That's part of the reason why we don't kind of discuss the direct content.
Oh, okay.
Because it is unfathomable to the intellect. So that's why the key of the mystical language is you don't have to understand it, just read it with reverence, which
Right.
every one of us can do on our own or like this.
Well, there's another in God has to be manifested. There's a line that says, I give unto you the real order to resign in self-importance.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of this, just at the last few sentences, it says good order in conscious, real feeling of good. So even though you're in pain, you just gotta,
It's part of the program.
huh?
Yeah, it's part of the program because it's in the pain that and in suffering that we relinquish our feeling or a need to be in control from our limited ego.
There you go. Thank you.
Otherwise, we would hang on.
Yeah.
Um,
So you can wait till
I, and that's another reason for letting your mind take a vacation. Really, because it's not to be understood intellectually. We're so conditioned, we were so happy to go from sensation to reason, and now reason has gone bad as far as I could see. When everyone in the world is worried, that's gone bad. So now it's like Baba's giving this. He's giving it through one of his disciples that's been prepared for this. And at some point that will be us receiving intuitions. She was able to receive what Baba was saying to her. And Baba said it's the most executive way God can speak. And
Yeah.
it was in the English language.
Yeah. And it is in that through God impersonal, which is, see, that's God is available now to us impersonal in the sense, I mean, we know God in the form, but Baba said it's clear, I'm not this form. So we're in a position now where through this mystical language, through our own inner experience, we're able to cultivate the intuition, our own intuition to the degree that we can, to understand both these messages, but more particularly that voice within each of us. So this one, called The Good and Bad in Mysticism. The problem of life as it is to be realized in the spirit. This is to say, to realize is to know and to feel the true meaning. It is to feel the real sense of things. It is to see the real sense of things. And to see the real sense of things is to see the true, real order in the sense. The sense of things is far deeper than the intellect can understand. The true sense of things is to see, to know, to feel, and to see in self. Self is to see in the realm of being. The new understanding is to see the new world as one all show of life in existence. This is to say, one all show of life in existence is to know how in the world man has to be real, good, real, happy. The state of mind of the world of today as it is to make through the mind the real experience of bad. It is to make in the head the real experience of right, good, and bad in selfish expression in order to bring out in all as experience the show of evil. The show of evil is to make the world be bad. It is to make the world show how it is to be good. It is to let the human God bring evidence of good as pure existence. The human God is good and bad in self, to make in self as pure portion the show of I be right, real, true. I here use the word of truth, which is dictated to me through the intuition by Meher Baba. The word of truth is a word which is brought down to our head as the intellect by one who is God in self as human creature. The Master says, let the mind go and the heart come. What is the head? And what is the heart? It is the opposite of mind and self. It is the opposite of self and mind as human intellect. It is the self as show of head in unison with the mind as universal knowing. It is the self in head which is in mind universal, the head as show of thought as ideas, and which is in the head as show of good and bad, none other than the I. So it is the I as the show of the mind, which is the self, real and good and true and right, which is to bring out in the dual order of the mind as show universal, the high order of self. Self as unison of head and heart in self-realized state of being.
The process of consciousness is more or less the same within. It is to bring out the dual self and to make it become the pure show of self. In other words, it is to make good what is bad. It is to see and feel. The self in unison of head and heart is to fulfill the scope of self. As unison in self of mind and being, it is to bring the real self to right indivisible experience of life in love with the dual I. It is creating oneness in manifoldness, and this is to live in unison with all and everything. To live in unison of head and heart is to make in self the progression of the self. To see, to know, to feel is to show in I, in self, as unison of the self, in mind, in self, real. What is the scope of the resignation of the mind as intellect? Good in bad is the state of life in the mental show of self in realization reaction. This is the show of life as it is now. One who is realized in self in head and heart in unison is right, real, just. Such a one is Meher Baba. The world at the stage in which it is now is false and true. It is good in being false. It is individual in being right. It is false in being true. What is good and bad in the real sense of the world? It is to see, to feel, to live and experience all as it is. It is to make it be as it is. It is to see it as it is. It is to make it bring good and bad in one all act of love. It is to find in self as state of head and heart in self-expression, the union state of one existence. Good is one whole state of life in unison of state of self, in experience of mind, in self, in being. It is to bring to full realized order in self, both good and bad. Through comparison, we realize in being real, we know. In the self, in experience, we see, know, feel. So it is progressing and realizing in the self in all and every phase of I in evolution. The self-order as state of unison of head and heart is to make it sure and clear that in the mind of every human creature is good, that in self of every human being is God. It is to see and to show in every human creature that in every human creature is good, the show of mind in self as state of mind universal. The show of self as show of mind universal is far too pure and too good for our limited, finite self-experience in I, as the individual self to real and true see and know. To be sure of the good, one has to realize in one's own I as the pure I, as self universal, the show of right, real, good. This example we see in one who is God realized and who is God in self as show of life in real liberation, state of the I as self, of the one in I as pure portion, of him in I as the human self, which is the show of the I as ego.
The living God is here to make us grow and prosper and fulfill the show in full of the I. He is here to make us know what is the worst in our own self as nature and in the show of mind in self one, as liberated I from all which in self in I, as finite order in mind as intellect, has to be one in I real, one in self pure, one in head, in heart, as the human, real, good self. Man is yet unconscious of him, the God. By him, I mean the human as the individual self in mind universal. I am one of his disciples who is still in the state of good and bad, in the show of self as the ego. I see as staunch and firm believer of good the difference of being good and bad in one all show of good. I see the good in men. I believe in the good in men. I am the good of self, conscious of being the good. I here affirm the I of men as being good. I affirm the show of all in the world as good. Man is bound to discover in the pure I his own order to be right, real, sure, good. This is to be found in self, in I as human creature. The self is in our own head and in our own mind, the true real show of self, when he, the one who is God realized, shows in us the way to find it. To find in us the God is to grow in us new and real and unselfish. It is a very small acting, realizing reaction. It is to overcome the limited self and to let the divine order in our own conscious I be dictation of right, true, real feeling. To feel the good is the whole thing to earn. To earn is to live and die. It is to live and real and true find in use of I as good, as bad, order of the head, one only show of right good life, and that is to live in unison of good in use in the self, in all, as human order in head and heart. It is unison of feeling of right, real good. So it is a matter of living and acting in unison of good that one has to find and fulfill real and true the scheme of the I in the show of the limited self as ego, as the human self in the realizing reaction show of the world as it is. We see the true, real I in him who is here to make it real and new in us in experience. So it is in the real experience of self as one that one is God as the human self.
By saying his own word, I do the good. So I here say his own dictation in intuition. When I say to give up the intellect as head in use of self, I do it in bringing the self to the conscious I as mind in men. It is here in men that one in I is to be the new existence of head in heart in unison of being as state of right good, real feeling, as show of good living. So I here say to you, the good in bad has to be given in. As giving in, I may say, renounced or given up or made impersonal or made indifferent or shown in individual self and make new and free as show of good. I am here to do the earnest work of self-liberation. This is to free from the unconscious self in I as portion of good, to create in good and bad, one all I life of real pure existence of good is to make in all as one all I life of real feeling, God be the self. My own word is God's word, as it is self in realization order to make the self in I be I as the human show of self, which is the I as order in conscience. This is to be the new way to earn the truth in the new dispensation of God. I here say, it is to all to be of real value to join my life. It is to all of good use to live a life of self-sacrifice. It is to all an order to live a life of good in bad, to know, to see, to find in self as motive of I, one whole real I existence in unison of I, the one in I, the real self, the pure experience of good. So let it be a state of new being. Let it be a life of new, real experience to help the true, real one to make an I, as any human self, another head and another heart, which is able to give the evidence of being, to see, to know, to feel is to make it one in us. That one is truth in evidence of mind in self as right experience of good and bad, as show of realization of good in use in I. This is the spiritual scope of us as human show in pain, I in joy.
Mayor Baba says, one only way to give the being in men an order is by creating love. This is to say, love me more than yourself, your own I. Your mind and self is me as show of knowing, which is universal. Yourself as being is life of unselfish, real good reaction. See this, and in this join me as the one who is here to realize in all in the world one all I life in love. I here confess to have seen good be impersonal and right and just, when I have seen Mayor Baba give me less and to another the most. How, you may ask, is less as much as the most? It is both less and most when it is given by him who in giving has made it so that it becomes to oneself the order to realize in the good of his doing the grace of good. This is the act of grace, when in doing, the doer is unselfish. Mayor Baba is unselfish in good and in bad. This is the difference between an ordinary human self and the order of self in high, realized state of perfection as human being. I am his adherent in all whatsoever he is ordering and saying and doing, as he is more than my own I, which in the I is unconscious of God. To all who have read the Meher message of the future, in which Meher Baba has stated that he shall play the greatest part in the new order, which is to lift the true, real self out of the dual, ignorant I as the human self in realizing reaction. We all, as his disciples, confirm the act of grace which he is doing in silence and in silence and seclusion.
Today, Meher Baba is the still work in all as the truth awakening power, which has to lift out of pain the universe as the head in disharmony with the heart. This one in I life which he is preparing, we hear as his own living life in self-renunciation of the head and the heart, in self-realizing reaction. See and know and feel as order. We act in accordance of his show within and without. We show in our I non-resistance to good and evil in mind, in self-order, to capitulate the self in I, which is individual and selfish. We obey to his dictating order in conscience, as we know it is for real good that we create in our I the self-order to real and true, capitulate the self and the I. So it is in unison of life real as him in us, as our conscience, that we live to serve him as human dictation of right, just, real reaction. To be one in I as life in unison of mind in being. One has to capitulate the self, which is false, unreal, unconscious of God. God is here to bring to life the God in us. Life is without God in the strife of the head in the self-realizing reaction of the heart, which is greed and lust. Force of the individual self. No one is good in heart, in head, till head and heart is surrendered to God. Meher Baba says to create the right head and heart in balance, the following. Good is I, bad is you in I, in use of me. Have faith in you, O self. Have faith in you, O life in strife. Have faith, O mind in self, in agony in I. To live is to act in I for good. To live is to live in I for use of God. Be confident, O I. Be quiet and sure of myself in you. O living, fulfilling I, be sure of self. God is I in human self.
Unknown caller.
I am here to lift the eye to the real. I am here to lift the eye to the real state of life in fulfilled real mind in unison of good, in use, in good, for use of good. This small self in man is good, and it is bad for good. Have confidence in self in man. Good is the holy man. Good is the God-realized man. Good is the show of the universe in self. Man, be sure to see, to know that in the good in man is he, the God, in unison of head and heart. He is God. He is pure as man as God. He is man as God, as he is good as man. He is right as he is God as man.
Once more I here quote the words which he has dictated in my heart in unison with him, the good as God. Love me more than the impersonal God. Love me more than your own self. Love me as human creature, which is one in life with all, as it is. See me live and see me give the life to those who show the need. See the man of the ordinary type realize in the ordinary type the one. It is I who is the ordinary man in search of truth. See the good and bad. Realize in self the bad. It is for good. See me live and act unselfish in self. Unselfish in I as human show in self-reaction. The realization order of God. I am here to take you as human order in conscience to the new order in self, which is to self-realize oneness in manyness. See this and react in this humanly and individually till I, as the God realized man, shall show the I real me as God, in use in all, as human show in transmutation in consciousness. It is to be small, goodness, real small righteousness. Real small goodness is to be kind to everybody. To be right in self is to be good in full. It is one all I existence of good for the use of me here as God in realized state of God as human creature. Love the good in every human show in self. Love true and good, the I of all in self, in pain, in I. Love and bring good to all whosoever, as all is me here in the show of truth making good.
Hey, Baba.
You know, a lot of you have the PDF now and the words. You could see the words. Uh, I would say something that have really it has been so good for me is if I find one sentence that rings, I mean, rings for me, I go, wow. I just write it down, take it out, write it down, and I will just say it and say it because it's ringing truth. You know, it's just not fluctuating. You know, it's ringing. Then they say it's ringing in pain, and you know it's kind of painful. You think I don't understand. I don't, you know, the intellect. I don't understand. And Baba says you don't need to understand it. Just read it with reverence. And there's a line that I repeat. It says, "I here act in mind in vibration," and that's capitalized vibration, "to make in you life grow." And you know, it's really a growing thing, and we're being taken out of our language as we use it, as we've been using it before we can walk. I mean, that's you try to change any habit that you've been doing since you've been crawling. Pretty rough. So it's a super grace. I just think it's a grace. And when I read in her diary a long time ago, I thought, wow. It says, "To be able to believe me, open your heart. Do not allow your heart to be obscured by giving to the head any imaginary motives to argue. Rest in me. Be selflessly detached when you are consciously experiencing unqualified confidence in my divinity. Be sure I have come to this world to achieve the new wonder of spiritual resurrection." This line is, "I put into you the desire to use your intellect to serve me. That service will initiate in you and in the world a new rhythm of pure and selfless love." And rhythm, it was with a capital R and it's all italicized. How I achieve this wonder of spiritual resurrection is no more a secret. I am here real and dynamically active in your higher self. I am the self immutable in all creatures.
You know, it struck. Yeah, let me just say one thing quick first. I was just thinking that it's really, it's not an understanding and it's an experience.
Yeah.
So it's to the degree that we apprehend something as an understanding, that's all well and good. But if we don't, that's all well and good too, because it's an experience, and that where things grow on the level of the heart as opposed to the intellect. Billy has a question.
Yeah, and it's not meant to be intellectual, but but they use she used the word, Bobby used the word expiate, not what
Yep.
it means.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that? I couldn't hear it.
He's asking about, there are a lot of words sometimes that are English, but we're just not familiar with. And I'm going to go quick
It's
to the
expiate.
It-
Oh, XP.
extinguishing the guilt.
Yeah.
That
That
up.
one is?
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Make atonement. Make
Isn't that wonderful?
See, just what I needed to hear.
Exactly, yeah. It's just,
that's the
remember
biggest impediment.
yeah, this line from Norina's diary, it says, man can only do what I in him enact.
So,
Where does guilt go with that? Man can only do what I in him enact. I don't know anyone that uses enact like, I mean, it just like, I thought, I couldn't believe I found that line, you know. I mean, I've gotten so much mileage with that, you know, it's like, wow.
say that definition again, Charlie.
Yeah, what was it, Charlie?
extinguishing the guilt or
Wow.
make atonement for.
Yeah, atonement.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Atonement.
Wow.
Make
wow.
amends or reparation or atonement. But the beauty of it is that Baba is doing that in us,
Yeah,
in our in the higher self of everyone. That's
yeah.
the purpose of his advent, in being in a human body and experiencing life during this advent and doing the work, in particular of Manonash, and creating, giving us the freedom that will ultimately come with this manifestation in accordance with our love, faith, and service. But it, so again, it's the repetition of these. I mean, Rosalie, go. Yeah.
What I like is the reaction. When reaction comes up,
Yeah.
he's almost saying, "Stop reacting." You know, it's I'm doing this in you. Your ego is, your ego is reacting, but you got to eliminate that to get to where the people in the higher or closer proximity to Baba, they don't. Well, some do, but most don't react. They see it as the will in all or whatever. I'm taking that too far. But capitulate was another word that was interesting because you hear it in the news now.
Yeah.
And that's another form of
Capitulate, give up.
backing off, capitulate, giving up.
And the thing is, like, even the term awakening, I mean, like, say, when you got realized, guess you do awaken. But I think there are times along the way, like, I mean, just coming to Baba is like an awakening. Like, what? He's back? Really? I mean, he's been back twice. I mean, I remember when I heard the terms all in one, Zoroaster, Ram, Buddha, Jesus, like, Zoroaster, Ram, Krishna, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad. And
That's crazy.
all at once, it was at a Sufi meeting, and I went, oh, no wonder, because man, I'm raised Catholic, and boy, they were always afraid of false ones coming along, and I thought, and I always felt sad when they felt bad about the poor Buddhists that weren't baptized, and I think, I just felt it was a downer. And I felt celebration. I thought, oh my God, wow. And now, and then to learn, and that was funny. I was at the Sufi camp. They were Sufis that followed. It was Vilayat Khan. He was the son of Anayat Khan, who wasn't given the charge. Anayat Khan gave the charge to Rabia Martin.
Mm.
And so, but he had a follow, he decided to have a following. He actually met Baba in Myrtle Beach, and Baba says, you should not be having a following. I mean, and I heard that from someone that was initiated by Anayat Khan that lived in Myrtle Beach, Laura Delavine, this beautiful, beautiful soul. You know, she was so beautiful. It's so natural about loving God, you know, just but you know, if you I just feel that speaking of reaction, boy, the minds react. I mean, and they could react in worry. I mean, that's one of the best reaction, the most common reaction. And this is like, I don't know. I think this language is saying it's a whole new thing happening, you know, just let it happen.
It's Baba's second language. I think he's talking in the language which is a mix of his and a mix of ours.
Well, the thing is, he's using most words that we use, but we don't use them that way.
Uh-huh.
And that's uncomfortable, you know. Ooh, you know, I mean, your language is your worldview. And interestingly enough, he spoke through Norina in English, and everyone in India practically can speak English. It's this universal language. So it's making it very accessible. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I tell you, for me, that I have these printed things, and Baba told Scott McKay going to Kitty Davy and says, what was it like, you know, during the Blue Bus time? She says, we were complaining to Baba. Norina was talking funny, the wording. He said, we want to change the words, you know. Baba says, don't change one word. This is for the future. They will appreciate it. You are children. And really, the Mandali were very fortunate children. They didn't do anything without Baba's permission.
You
That's
know, and that thing about early on when I first read this, there's terms that are in English, but we don't quite, you know, they're used in different ways. And the one about the reaction, Baba coupled it with realization reaction. And then when I first experienced it, I realized that God is present in every living thing, every inanimate thing, but certainly every living thing. And when you realize that you have the presence of God within you, we're not aware of it, but it's there. And that our whole life is a reaction to that presence. When we're doing good things or bad things, the power of it, the power of his being, the power of his I is our power of I, as little as it is, because of our limited mind's limitations. But nevertheless, the term realization reaction is that we're reacting to that presence, and he makes use of our good things and our bad things to draw us to him, particularly all the more when we're honest and natural and we're being who we are and we're not letting our mind say, oh, I can't do this or I can do this. That is a limited perspective. And there's one part here where he says, let's see, whoops. So it is clear in you here now, that it is imperative to fall in me, to be in use in I imperative as me, the identification of I impersonal and being, and in I individual as creature, that is in duo reaction, resigned to have in use no real use. To see this is to see in me how it is that I am the realization use imperative. I here as war in I individual am the realizing reaction. I here in you as striving I am the realization reaction. I here as you individual in pain am the divine wrath to pursue in pain the real I, the one in I, the no one in I. Ultimately, we're not even experienced because when, you know, but
You know, I'll tell you, like, now this line from out of these mystical language, it is so precious that I just, it says, so it is in this making believe that I here am God as man. Be sure of this and never doubt and always come to me for help. If it is for a tiny bit of mercy, come to me. If it is for a tiny bit of love, come to me. If it is for a tiny bit of joy that has no end, come to me.
Yeah, Norina pops her head out in this talk when she starts, I am his adherent in all whatsoever he is ordering.
Yeah.
And she also says, to all who have read the Mayher message, you know, it's like, oh, that's Norina's like conscious, you know, she's not under the spell or whatever you call it, the waves. And it was interesting that, oh, yeah. And then she gets back into the mix, and she even comes out what I thought was a prayer of repentance at the last second to the last page, when she says, good, Mayor Baba says to create the right head and heart in balance, the following: good is I, bad is you, in I, in use of me, have faith. You know, it kind of, if it wasn't that one, it was something else that I said, oh man, like, wow.
Right. No, it's like the world to me now is such a mess that I just take refuge in this. I thought, this is straight talk.
Well, it's not a
We
mess.
need it because it's such a mess. It's like falling into a garbage dump and suffocating, you know.
Yeah, but you gotta love the garbage. That's the thing. I
you
think
know,
you can't react. It's all lovely.
that is the beauty of the expression as it is. Accept the
Yeah.
world as it is,
Yeah.
because it's
For sure.
it's so unfathomable, all that he's doing in order to bring everything back to him. And the only relief is looking inward to our inner experience. And you know,
Faking ourselves out.
yeah. So I'm going to stop the recording now. We can continue a little bit, but this was a couple of powerful ones.
Power
Yeah,
pack.
yeah. Thank you very much. This was